Oh, forgive me. I didn't see you guys there. I was just busy licking my wounds from yesterday and the day before. I hope your wounds weren't too bad, and I was glad to see a little bit of a rebound today. Stick around. Today I'm going to talk about some tariff scares, the political stuff going on, my thoughts on the market. Should be a really good video. I hope you enjoy.
Want to make your money work harder? Enjoy another video with Adam Kahn, the rational investor on stocks, real estate, and crypto. Subscribe now for your weekly dose of investment insights and hopefully learn a thing or two.
Hello, my YouTube friends, and happy Wednesday. I hope everybody's doing well. What a crazy market we've had for the past few days and even last week as well. Now, do me a favor before I even start getting into the video. If you could smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate the support. It goes a long way into YouTube's algorithm to show people that you're enjoying the content. And I'm not selling anything. I'm not really moving anything. It doesn't take much but pressing a button, and I really appreciate it. Anyway, what a crazy market the past few days. It seems like the market went from extreme greed to extreme panic. I feel like the sell off is a little overdone. Now, keep in mind, as always, this is not financial advice. You need to do your own research, reach out to your financial advisor, and for sure, don't listen to me because I just talk about what I do. And, I'm not you, and I take on risks that not everybody should or you may not be comfortable with. So it doesn't make sense to just follow somebody you see on YouTube. I hope you enjoy the information and you get something out of it. But I really don't want you making trades or just copying because you think I have some insight. Because I don't think anybody has any insight better than anyone else. I think everybody's opinion, if they pay attention to the markets, is just as good as anybody else's. And I don't think there's some, you know, hidden golden understanding or value that somebody you see because they're on TV or somewhere else that they know more than you do. The only people who really know are, maybe politicians passing regulations or people like the CEO of companies or people who really have some inside track as to what's going on specific to their company. Anyway, what happened? What's going on in the markets? Because that was quite a pullback and enough that it felt like a real scare to me, which is why I think we've gone a little too far to the downside, even with today's rebound. Um, the tariffs, I think, are a little overdone. And some of the comments that I've seen and some of the discussions I've had with people, I feel like the Fed. I'm not going to make any decision or have any opinion until it has time to work its way through the system so I can see what it actually does. Now, that might mean that I'm down a bunch of money in the stocks because they reacted in advance and maybe we really do have a slowdown. But I've had this constant theme of what if the negative doesn't happen? You know, what if the tariffs don't end up being that terrible? What if companies have already priced in those 25% increases, so the prices you're already seeing at the register are what you could expect to see down the line? Now, I'm not saying that is the case. Maybe it's not the case. Maybe prices go up further and it slows the economy and we have a recession. But I feel like a lot of that's already priced in and the fear seems overdone to me. And it's not something I'm going to worry about until I see something in the numbers, which is kind of what the Fed constantly says to Congress or to whomever else when they're asking questions. They're not going to make any determination on any of the policies and try to guess how they're going to impact the economy. They're just going to look at the economic data and react to the data and not worry about will this do that or what will cause this. I think that's just a lot of overthinking everything instead of being more patient and waiting and trying to see how things react. That's my attitude on all of that. I find the show, I look at it kind of like a show, really interesting and kind of fun to watch. I hope people don't hear it the wrong way. I'm not making any comment about if I like this politician or if I don't like them. When I'm looking at what's going on, I'm trying to make my adjustments based on finances because I have no control what goes on with the politicians in the world or anything else. So when I'm watching it, even if it's something I disagree with, I still take it with a grain of salt and I don't get too upset about it um, because it's out of my control. So why worry about it or make it a bigger deal than it is. I also think some of these stocks have really overreacted to the downside. For example, Target. They had very good earnings. Now, they did have a slow February, which they said during the earnings, and their concern is that it'll continue to slow. But at first, when the numbers came out, Target started reacting to the upside. And then when they started talking about February being slow and a potential slowdown going forward, the stock really cratered to the downside. And I think based on valuation, meaning the price to earnings, even if it does slow, it's still okay. I kind of feel the same way about Whirlpool that had a correction as well. And if I'm looking for something that pays dividends, and I don't feel like these companies are in jeopardy of going out of business, which is what I'm looking for in an investment like that. If I'm looking for a company that I think of as being stable, even though those moves don't feel real stable, but where I'm hoping to get a dividend payment and a company to be around in for a while, both of those seem okay to me, and I think they're pretty well discounted here. Doesn't mean they can't have more room to the downside, but I also think the panic is a little extreme. There seems to be a lot of target hate, I'd like to call it, because I saw another video where somebody was talking about Target and in the comments of, I never shop there and they've done this or they've done that. Well, that's okay, but they had a really good quarter when you actually look at the numbers, despite them saying they might slow down going forward. So all the comments of I don't shop there and they're just the worst and whatever else really don't hold true to me, because if that were the case, their quarter wouldn't have been good. On top of that, even slowing down, they're really cheap in terms of price to earnings ratio, and they pay a nice dividend. And I just don't see them going out of business. Like maybe things do slow, but if I'm going to hold it for 5 or 10 years, I think I'll be okay. Same with Whirlpool, which is paying a really good dividend. And I think that's just a little bit of the cycle of what happened during COVID more than anything else. So I think they really might slow for a while before catching things. At the same time, when I look at the way that sell off was, the things that I really dug into were Amazon, Google, and Meta. Three of the stocks that I mention all the time, but it seemed like they had a nice pullback. And if things don't get really bad, these are the types of things that could turn around and go right back up. Even today, after having a really nice day, Amazon is still below $210 a share when I think 2 weeks ago it was trading above $240. Similar with Google. I know they had recently made a new high, I think a little above $200. And yesterday it was trading in the 167, 168 range. And then I think today it closed around $172, which still seems really reasonable to me. And based on forward earnings, I mean, Google is actually what I would call a bargain. They've had some pretty bad news, and I don't mean anything that's that bad, but everybody seems to be overreacting, in my opinion, to ChatGPT and feeling like their search is going to have a problem going forward and they're going to lose market share. Well, so far that hasn't been the case, which is kind of what I was talking about in terms of preparation for all of these new administrative things that are going on. I'm not going to presume that their search is going to do worse when year over year it keeps doing better and it keeps growing at an actually pretty substantial rate. So while maybe these other companies eat into it, maybe there's just demand for more search, and Google is able to continue to grow their search at the same time that so is Amazon, and maybe so is Meta, and maybe so is ChatGPT. It doesn't mean just because there's more competition that automatically Google's going to lose their hold on it. And then when I look at everything else, my God, YouTube is such a great outlet as well. I don't see it slowing anytime soon, and it's a really good product that is part of the Google network. And even I think it's Waymo seems to be growing at an extremely quick pace, which I see as like a free option in some ways with owning Google, because I don't even think people factor that in when they're pricing the stock. So I look at Google around $170 a share as a great opportunity. And I really added on a good amount. And I've owned it for a while for much less and am pretty comfortable adding on here. Now, keep in mind, the stuff that I'm saying I'm adding on to now really is more of a trade. It's not in the stuff that's my set it and forget it account. So if things change, like on Friday, if the jobs number comes out, what I'm hoping is the market reacts pretty badly to start, and things start to push back down and look scary and catch themselves kind of where the lows have been recently and start going back higher. Now, that's just my hope. I'm not making a prediction. Either way, it's also possible after the jobs number that the market just reacts badly and the stocks start to go lower. And the stuff that I trade, I might get out of it because I've changed my mind or get nervous or don't want to risk as much money. But right now, I really like how the markets have reacted. I think these levels are still good. And if the market continues to catch itself, that was enough of a scare that I think over the next 3 to 6 months, things could be right back where they were, and people kind of shaking their heads in disbelief that the market's continuing to make new highs. I'm actually still quite bullish the market. I always try to keep in mind, no matter what I think, that things could change, but I really am pretty bullish and think things are doing just fine. The one that amazes me the most is the housing market because I agree with everybody. It looks expensive, rates are on the high side, monthly payments are pretty high, but when I really think it through, so are wages, and so are people's ability to make the payments, and they're just much more comfortable with a higher payment than I'm used to because of how long I've been in the industry. I don't think it's any different than the price of eggs or groceries or anything else. I get sticker shock when I go to restaurants, when I go to the supermarket, when I go to clothing stores, wherever. So it really shouldn't surprise me that I get sticker shock when I see monthly payments on people's mortgages or the price of a home. What's amazed me, at least here in Las Vegas, because I expected to see a bit of a pullback, is it seemed like we kind of stagnated for a bit. And all of a sudden, it's like prices are going up again at a rather quick pace. I don't fight the market. I don't sit there and argue that it can't happen because it's not affordable. I kind of agree that it's expensive, but where I disagree is this opinion that it means it has to correct. Markets are markets, and there's no it has to do anything. They just do what they do. So I don't tend to fight the tape. I try to stick with the trend is your friend. And then in general, part of why I do the channel is I hope people save and invest for their future. If the market has a correction or goes back the other way, I don't see that as it was a mistake to put money away. I see it as an opportunity to continue to put away. The only time that that becomes a real problem is if somebody's lost their job or lost their income stream and isn't able to continue to invest and put away for the future. If you follow advice of somebody on YouTube and buy a stock and you think it's a good company, I'll use Amazon because I think it's a great company, and you buy it for easy number, call it $200 a share, and bad news comes out on Amazon for a couple of quarters and it drops to $140, I don't see that it was a mistake to have bought it at $200 a share. If I still think they're a good company and I think they're going to continue to grow and they're going to continue to expand and maybe do other streams of revenue, well, it's just less expensive now, so I can buy more shares and continue to invest in them because I still think they're a good company. Unless something fundamentally changes where I no longer believe in the things that I'm investing in. And that doesn't mean the price went lower. That means something about the company is changing. Maybe the CEO changes and their new direction is completely different. But until something fundamentally changes, I really want to stay invested in the companies that I think are really good companies. So instead of me trying to search for new places to put the money as a trade, that's kind of why I delved into the ones I believe in the most. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Were you buying anything on this down move? Are you concerned about the jobs data that's coming out on Friday? What I kind of wonder as it comes out on Friday is will it be bad news is bad news if it comes out bad, or is bad news good news, or is good news bad news? Like, how is the market going to react to the data that comes out is more what I'm interested in versus what the data actually is. Now, I don't typically get political, but I do want to talk a little bit about yesterday's speech that I saw because I was really disappointed in some things. And what I'm disappointed in is how divided the country seems to be getting. When Trump speaks, no matter what, it seems like the people on the Republican side, even if he said something atrocious, stand up, nod, cheer, clap, and the people on the Democrat side hold up these things calling him a liar and Musk steals and whatever else. I understand that on both sides, if they're actually listening to what he's saying and reacting to what he's doing and what he's saying, that they agree with or don't agree with. But it was really upsetting when you see him talk about this boy. And I'm going to use this one example, but there were so many things like that this shouldn't be Republican versus Democrat. So this young man, DJ, I don't remember the last name, was diagnosed with brain cancer and told he had 5 months to live. That was 6 years ago, and he's 13 years old now, so he's really young. Mr. Trump, or President Trump, says he always wanted to be a police officer, and the police kind of gave him an honorary title welcoming him to be a police officer. And he then says, I'm going to one up that, and I'm going to now make you an honorary member. And forgive me because I don't remember if it was the CIA or or FBI or which department it was. But how could you not see that as a really sweet, nice thing to do? Even if you hate Donald Trump, like it really doesn't matter. But this is a kid who defied all odds, was supposed to have a 5 month prognosis of being alive. 6 years later, his dream of being a police officer, not only does he get an honorary title as a police officer, he also gets one from the President of the United States to one of our government agencies. Like, that's really sweet. So for the Democrat sides to be sitting there, not showing appreciation, not clapping a bit, and still sitting there holding up their signs of dislike is really bothersome. And I'm not saying that, like, really, I'm not political. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm not trying to pick on one side. I'm just saying it upsets me how divided we are, that people can't even see good when good things happen, and vice versa on the side when the Republicans or he does something not so great. Why aren't the Republicans able to stand up and say, hey, I don't think that's a great idea? And quite honestly, some of his policies are traditionally Democratic policies. I mean, tariffs, for example, would be something that Democrats would usually want to do, not Republicans. But there just becomes this I hate them and I hate them, that nobody pays attention to what anybody's saying, and it's just a simple they're wrong, we're right. So that's why I say I'm never political. I don't ever want anybody to read into the things I say thinking I have some opinion about this one or that one. I listen to it because I find it all interesting. I also try to make adjustments in my positions for investments based on what I think might happen, even though I try to wait for the data. And I try to get an idea for what I think might be coming, but it's really not. I try not to decide I don't like this person, so everything out of their mouth is just wrong. It just shouldn't be that way. Anyway, that's my rant on the politics. In terms of the economy, I think there's still a lot of money out there. I think people are still working. I think they're still getting paid. I'm sure certain industries and areas are getting impacted. I'm sure the job losses in DC are going to be tough on the people who lose the jobs. But I'm still bullish the economy because I think overall it's doing okay. The people giving up their jobs has gone down a lot because there aren't a whole lot of job openings. I see us doing this balancing act and it could snap at any time. But I don't think the tariff, like, I think it's all noise. I'm not worried about the tariffs one way or another. And I think when the markets have pullbacks, I think it's still an opportunity to buy into them. Again, not financial advice. You need to do your own research when making all financial decisions and not listen to me. Anyway, I hope you had a great Wednesday. Looking forward to the rest of the week. Don't forget, hit that thumbs up button, smash the subscribe button. I said that backwards of how I normally said it. Make some comments in the comment section. Let me know what you've done this week in terms of buying or selling or what you're looking at. If you have a stock you want me to look into, feel free to put it in. I'll be happy to look at the chart, pull up what I see for their earnings growth and where they're trading, and give you my opinion on it if you want it. Anyway, again, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.